Colonel Jessup, I'll ask for the 4th time. Did you order the code red?
You want answers?
I think I am entitled to them.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth. Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's going to do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago, and you curse the Marines. You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. That Santiago's death, while tragic, probably saved lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. You don't want the truth, because deep down, in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall. You need me there. We use words like honor and code, loyalty. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself to a man who rises and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom I provide. Then question the matter in which I provide it. I prefer you just to say thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stay in post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to.
Did you order the code red?
I did the job you sent me to do.
Did you order the code red?
You damn right I did.
Please the court, I suggest the jury be dismissed so that we can move to an immediate Article 39A session. The witness has rights.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Wax on, wax off. No, I am your father. Why did it have to be snakes?
Welcome to the Biscuits and Gravy Odyssey. I'm your host, Chris.
And I am the other host, Dennis. How you doing tonight, Chris?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not bad, not bad. Glad to see you're doing better.
Better than what?
Well, you know, we talked on my car drive home from work. We were chatting, you know, discussing about tonight's show. And I think people who listen to the show kind of know you have a little bit of a road rage issue, maybe. I don't know if I want to go as far as say road rage, because you don't.
Oh, you can
act. Well, you don't act upon. You don't.
You can. There's many degrees of road rage.
Okay.
And I don't get out of my car and you know that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I do get.
Well, today.
Pretty upset in my car.
You know, so everyone knows for reference when I'm talking to Chris on the phone and he's driving and I'm driving, we'll be in mid sentence or he will be in mid sentence or I will. And all of a sudden, a slew of profanity and vile acts will sling forth from him.
I don't believe I do that.
Well, maybe you go into some kind of trance and don't remember it.
That could be.
But today, all of a sudden, I started hearing some sounds other than screaming. I believe the first one I heard was something like.
Yep.
And I even asked, what was that? So maybe you can enlighten us about what's that all about.
You know what? Sometimes just so I can stop myself from getting too worked up and screaming at people too much, when someone really upsets me in their horrible, horrible driving, I will just to kind of center myself, I'll be like, whoo, or something like that, you know.
Okay, so
it's like an exercise. It's a breathing. I have to, I have to breathe through it. It's almost like
Giving birth?
when yes, like you have a contraction, and then the nurse will tell the woman, breathe through it. That's what I have to do when someone is driving horribly. I'm guessing in my mind, it's very comparable to childbirth pains, I guess, in my head, not knowing what those would feel like. Okay. But I can't imagine that there could possibly be any worse than dealing with today's drivers.
That has to be way worse than bearing a child.
Right. I'm guessing that. So, in my head, I have to breathe through it. So
what I'm hearing that you're trying to work on yourself to become a better person. That's what I'm hearing. That's admirable. I really.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't really think I could be any better of a person than I am. I mean, you know me. You know what I think of myself.
Do you want to share the one thing you said when someone made you aggravated about Superman? Did you want to? That you said what you wish if you were Superman, what you could do?
That was kind of a dumb thing. I said if I was Superman, I would have my window open, and when someone did something stupid, I'd fly out my window, and I'd go and I'd punch them, and then I'd fly right back in my window like instantaneously, so I never even like my foot never even got off the gas or whatever. And then you replied,
then I said, well, hear me out. If you were Superman, you wouldn't even be driving. You would just fly home.
You're right.
So, but I chalked that.
But that just shows how upset I was in the moment to come up with such a silly, silly thing.
It's like
to
when
do.
a great white shark attacks and their eyes roll back in their head, and at that point they're just all muscle memory. So I think that's what maybe you were at that point.
Is that another segue, Lucas?
I believe that's a segue.
Wow, that is a segue.
Dun 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 dun. So, what are we talking about today, Chris?
Yeah, so with that being said, tonight's episode is going to be on the outstanding film Jaws, Steven Spielberg.
Outstanding film.
Peter Benchley written book. Steven Spielberg directed movie.
His
Robert Shaw.
His second movie, correct?
Richard Dreyfuss. What's his face? Why can't I think of Brody's name? Royscheider. That's it.
Yes. Old Roy. Roy.
Great cast. Great movie.
Excellent movie. I mean, I'd like to start with the whole premise of you don't even see the shark for about an hour into the movie.
Maybe not an hour, but quite a ways into the movie. You don't even see the shark at all, which part of that was unintentional. I think they planned on having more scenes where you saw the shark, but the shark, this animatronic shark that they made for the movie.
Yeah, because I mean, this is well before any kind of digital. This is when they did it old school, and they had to build something.
So they built this shark, and it just didn't hold up to the mechanics, and it didn't hold up to the water well at all, and it didn't work half the time. So they kind of improvised, and they made it more this subtle. That's where they use music a lot more,
and that's also where they use the those yellow buoys.
Right, that wasn't even going to be like a huge thing.
No,
in there.
Because there was one way to show that the shark was there without seeing the actual shark. Right.
So, but that all led to the movie being even scarier, especially at a time where your special effects weren't what they are now.
Right.
So your animatronic shark doesn't look that real, it's real enough, but it looks, but all that suspense is what makes you.
Because what it does is it's like because of that suspense, it's tapping into some primal fear. You know what I mean? Of humans, that the fear of the unknown. You know what I mean? There's a vast...
The boogeyman under the bed or
the vast
closet.
water.
Yep.
What's in that dark water under there? What monster is lurking down there?
Oh my God! There isn't probably a time to this day, and I'm not even just talking about the ocean. I'm talking, a
lake, even?
a lake of it, summer, like a lake.
Yeah.
If I'm in the middle of a lake, like in the deep part of the lake,
yeah,
like going water skiing or tubing or something, and you get thrown off the tube and you're waiting there for the boat to come.
Yeah.
I am like flipping out. I don't outwardly flip out because
you're thinking of
you
it,
got to
though.
be cool when the boat pulls back up. You got to be like, yeah, this is nothing. I'm gonna get back in the boat, even though I don't even know. I don't even know if in the last few years if I could pull my butt back into a boat these days. But literally, I will in my head, even though I'm calm, in my head, my mind is like, there is going to be a shark in this water, in this little lake in Michigan, and it is going to eat me.
Well, that's what Spielberg did with that movie. I mean, I think in mass, all around the world, it made people think that, and there's no way. Like you just said, you know that movie. You go in the water and you're in a deep end or something like that, and you can't see bottom. Guarantee that pops up in your head. And I can only imagine the actors, because they actually filmed this on the actual ocean. There was no soundstage water.
They had a soundstage. They actually did have a soundstage, but most of it they did in whatever it was, Nantucket Sound, they did.
The majority of it was that. They
had a small like kind of pool and a back lot somewhere where they did where, a backdrop, and they did
where they did the headshot of the that one fisherman who got killed, and when
is it Roy Gardner?
Hooper. I did it again.
Wrong podcast.
Hooper.
That was 2 podcasts ago.
When Hooper went diving down there to investigate the wreckage.
Was it
Do you know where that was filmed? That was filmed in a backyard swimming pool.
You're kidding.
Of the film editor of the movie. I believe her name was Verna Fields, and she actually edited that entire movie in her pool house. That's where she did her editing, and that's where they filmed filmed.
That's pretty cool.
It's kind of interesting, though. But going back to...
Great of you to remember her name like that, too. That was
I retain a lot of things.
That was wonderful.
But that's, like you said about the fear of being in the water, there's, scenes of these actors, that last scene of Brody on the mast of the ship when the shark's coming at him at the end.
Smile, you son of a...
Yeah. I mean, if you look at that, they're actually out there in the ocean.
Yeah.
He's on this mast in the water. Just sharks coming at him. You see the fins. That had to help with the motivation for acting.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't even imagine being... and I don't know. I just can't even imagine being in a scene like that. But there's a lot of movies like that where there's stuff going on, and you're like, how? It's got to help with acting, because you're literally got to be scared yourself out of your mind.
Yeah,
horror films and things like that.
If you were on a soundstage pool, in your head,
Oh yeah,
cool.
No,
you're filming this out in the actual ocean, and. There are things there.
Yeah, no, in the editor's pool where they found that what did I say? Was it it's Ben. That was it. Ben Gardner. Ben Gardner's boat.
Yes, you're right.
That I did remember.
Oh, nice. Did you know he was an actual fisherman from Amity?
Yes, I did know. I did know that.
And he was a crotchety old goat, from what I understand.
That's why they killed him.
Yeah, got him off.
Maybe he didn't drive too fast, and Spielberg was like, "Get out of my!" in his car.
Not everyone handles it like that, Chris.
Okay.
Everyone has their own ways.
Hey, you know what? It takes a whole bunch to make the world go.
Right. But yeah, that fear that this movie has instilled in thousands of people because of, now granted like you said, the animatronics of the shark, even back then when it came out of the water, not very lifelike, but still.
Some scenes were more lifelike than others. When it jumped almost halfway out of the water to get into the boat, when it killed Quint, it was like, all right, that looks a little fake.
But it was still frightening.
Some of the other ones, when it just comes up out of the water, like when Brody's
chumming,
throwing all the stuff out, and he's like, he drives the boat, chief, whatever, and he's like, you guys drum some of this crap, and the shark comes up out of the water, and it's like, what the hell? And then he stands up right away, and he looks like, that's the whole
classic line.
One of the most classic lines from the movie was from one of the most classic lines from any movie ever was, "You're going to need a bigger boat."
Yeah,
and because he sees the sheer size of this thing, it's insane.
25-footer. But
no, you're supposed to say 20-footer.
Oh,
say it again.
Oh yeah, I mean 20-footer.
25, 3 tons of them. Come on.
Oh, Quint.
One of the coolest shots actually is shortly after that. There's a scene, and I wish I had looked it up and found like the exact minute point in the movie where he could actually say that. But there is a shot, and it's one of the coolest shots in this whole movie, where it's almost an aerial. They're looking down on the boat, kind of, to an extent, kind of on an angle, but looking downward. And you see the shark come by the side of the boat, and you could see the whole wingspan and everything of this shark. And
gives
it's like
the perspective of how big it was. Right.
It's one of the coolest shots.
Well, that's another thing.
Cinematography wise, it's one of the coolest shots in this.
All you're seeing is basically the outline shadow of this thing. So you're not seeing any detail, and you don't need to, because your imagination.
Because you see the size. It's
your own imagination is driving your fear, and you know what I mean. So. That's enough. And I mean, I don't know if he had that. I don't know if he had his finger on that, or if it was more luck, like you said, that it wasn't working and they had to go that route, No,
I think some of that was literally luck because of that, because it just worked out so well, exactly the way it worked out.
Now, I did hear him talk about, that being, if that movie was made today with the technology today, it wouldn't be half as scary, because, you would see all these things. And so I think that is probably one of the biggest things to this movie that made it a hit was that anticipation of seeing that monster and letting the audience, letting their own fears through a majority of the movie wonder and what is it? I mean, they know it's a shark, but
right,
where is this monster? When are they going to see it? What are they going to do?
Right. And there was that anticipation, and they thought even when the movie was done, and we're looking at this and many years later, critiquing it, and it's been critiqued for thousands of times over the years, but when they finished this movie, they were like, that's it. We're gonna get laughed out of Hollywood. This is the end of our careers. Spielberg, our careers are over. They went and they released it, and this is gonna be horrible. Everyone's gonna hate it, and everyone loved it, and they were shocked, even after them watching the finished product, because they lived it and they knew what all the problems were. Yeah. And they were shocked when everyone loved it as much as they did, and people loved it.
Yeah, because it skyrocketed. I don't know gross, box office gross, but it was up there with.
It was huge. It was probably the biggest at the time. I don't know what it was, and it was probably biggest until it got knocked out by E.T. or whatever. But I think it was the biggest movie.
Yeah, we're talking about movies. Maybe we should know what the gross was.
We probably should. If only we had a producer.
Who could?
I can do that. That's
access
almost like my job.
To the internet.
Computer, yes.
So, Lucas, you've seen Jaws, correct?
Yes, I have.
All right.
Also, it made $472 million in the box office.
Which at that time would have been insane.
That
Insane amount.
Insane. That was 70.
That
79. I think it was 79, right? Come on.
Can't be 79. We just reviewed a movie last.
It's 75, but the book came out in 74 too.
Book was in 74,
and then
the
this
movie
came
was-
out in 75.
That was a pretty
So
quick.
you've seen this movie, Lucas. So you're a different generation from us. So we seen it when it first came out. Do you feel that same when you seen it? Did you feel that same building up of fear, of anticipation, of the unknown, or do you?
Maybe I don't think I necessarily did right away because I'd already been exposed to like more of the CGI based stuff. So like I never I knew where the limit was at the time, where something like this wasn't groundbreaking in the sense of like seeing an animatronic shark.
So was that when you did see the animatronic shark? Did it come off to you as silly?
It didn't come off to me as silly, but I never looked at the movie as like something scary. I looked at it through the lens of like a kind of an action thriller. And also I want to pull up something that Jaws actually topped the box office in 1975, making $260 million.
Nice.
Yeah, I know it shot right up to the top.
Right.
I mean, it was,
it was like the highest grossing film for a little bit there. What knocked that out?
You know who beat him out or took over the spot from Jaws?
Who did that?
Our favorites, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
I mean, come on, yeah, that was.
And then that I think held it until E.T. knocked that out, which was another Spielberg movie. So that's
say George and Spielberg were Lucas and Spielberg were at it, but they were both involved in Indy.
Do you think that's what caused it? Them having top box office films?
No, I think they're both just. I won't throw the word genius out lightly, but I think they both film geniuses. I mean, they for their time they made great movies. So,
yes, they were.
Now,
some would say still are.
Oh yeah,
since they're alive.
When that did come out in the box office, did you know that the studio, when Jaws started gaining momentum, they had it in 600 theaters in America.
600 theaters.
And that
had to be a lot at that time.
Yeah, and the actual studio cut it down to 400 theaters in the height of the hype of it. Because
why would they do such a thing?
Well, they thought, and then I think correctly so, they thought that the best publicity for this movie is seeing people standing in line and having a hard time getting in to see it. I mean, that was their best. That even hyped it up more. They pulled the reins back. That's like marketing strategy they were using. So instead of putting it out for the mass population, they actually pulled it out of theaters.
It's kind of a ballsy strategy.
Yeah, well, when you see on the news, people lined up around the block to see a movie, and they sold out every place. Well,
right.
That makes you think, maybe I should go see this movie.
That was the precursor to all the, Star Wars nerds that stay over.
You're right.
Did I say that? I don't want to upset any of our listeners.
Oh no, because we're Star Wars nerds.
Because we are. Yes, we are.
Totally.
But I will say I've never stayed overnight though.
Oh no, I've never done that.
I've never done that at all.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
No,
I'm patient, man.
That I won't. I don't know. I've never stayed overnight to ticket, concert, nothing.
Nope.
I've never.
None of
My
that.
daughter and my son-in-law have stayed overnight for a craft beer release. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah,
You're gonna stay
right.
overnight for a, couple 6-packs of a craft beer?
Negative.
I won't do that. No. I wouldn't even do that for Phantom Menace when I waited all those years for that movie to come out.
Because you're patient.
Yeah, true.
All right, listen.
And nowadays I just wait for it to come out bootleg.
We need to.
Whoop! Erase that.
we need to go to a commercial. Let's hit that, and then we'll dive back into it.
Sounds good.
Hey girl, how's it going?
Good. How about... Damn it!
What's wrong?
It's this chime doorbell camera I got from my front door.
I thought you were happy with that.
I'm happy with the camera, but the neighborhood alerts on the Chime app I can definitely do without. I get about 25 alerts a day from people who either lost a dog or cat or found a dog or cat. It's madness. I didn't realize we had such an epidemic of faulty doorknobs and gate locks.
That's a good one. But I don't think it's the locks that are faulty. Hey, I recently donated to Chippo. Maybe you should too.
What's Chippo?
That would be the Coalition to Help Impaired Pet Owners, or Chippo. They give assistance to anyone that is having trouble keeping their pets contained on their own property. They offer online classes like fence gates, open, bad, closed, good, or front door, don't leave it open or your dog will get out.
That's an actual thing? It seems silly. People really need to take a class on how to close their door?
I think your app just answered that question for you.
All right, welcome back. Chris.
Yep.
I want to switch up a little bit, and I'd like to talk about, well, to me, the three main characters, Brody, Hooper, and Quint.
And the shark.
Well, and the shark.
There's four main characters.
The three
in this
main
movie.
the three main human characters.
Okay. Well, please clarify yourself.
All right. So, let's talk about Brody first.
Okay. He's an Amity Island transplant.
He was a big city cop, wanting more of a, I don't want to say semi-retirement life, but a more easy life from the big city.
Yeah, probably chased his share of, robbers and, hoodlums
And
down a dark alley
and figured
in New York City or something.
And he figured he'd be safe, a little peaceful town. Although it's funny
what
because
could happen? What could go wrong?
Well, his fear. He didn't like the water.
Right.
He didn't like nothing to do with it.
That was actually one of the coolest lines in the movie.
Right.
And he said, "It doesn't make any sense. Somebody who doesn't like the water to live on an island.
Moves to an island."
And he said, "It's only an island if you look at it from the water."
Yeah, I mean that's perfect line.
That's
right
a great
there.
line.
So, his character is I don't know. I like watching the evolution of it. Like, it's because all of a sudden he's got all this pressure of dealing with the shark, dealing with it killing people, dealing with the mayor wanting the town to stay open for like the 4th of July because, he wants to put money in the coffers and keep it the tourist business open. But
otherwise they'll starve all winter.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
But Brady,
Brody.
See? Brody. Tom Brady.
Brody.
He was a football player.
Yeah.
Okay. Brody, obviously is above all that and wants to kill this thing, to catch it.
He wants safety for his
I
constituents.
mean, because it was a close call for his kids, too, wasn't it?
Right. It was. That shark
didn't it
swam right by his kid.
That's when that dude in that little rowboat that looked like comical. Hey, your kids need help over there, right?
He's like, "What are you doing over there, guys? What are you doing?"
I know. It was like, okay.
It was like, "What are you drinking?" What's up?
So you got that character, right?
And that was one of those scenes where it was kind of half cool and half cheesy because it was like the shark came up and the guy fell, and then he was just like all of a sudden the shark's just like chomping and he's like, the shark's just like chomping
that had
away.
a little cheesiness.
And then all of a sudden you see his leg floating to the bottom of the of the pond.
But so his kids were affected by this, so it hit home for him. Plus, then obviously the mother of the child who was eaten.
Oh,
The slap.
Yeah, that would be...
I mean, that was pretty intense. I mean,
that would be that little Kittner boy.
Yeah. and-
Kittner boy.
I mean,
Alex Kittner.
that was pretty intense. I mean,
That was crazy. And actually, the original scene from that you could find online, I think it was in one of the anniversary DVDs or something, was actually much more brutal. In the final cut, all you see was some kind of flailing around a little bit, and in the actual scene, you saw the shark come up out of the water and chomp on this kid.
Yeah.
That they originally filmed, but the shark didn't work completely. They would have had to kind of fix it a lot because of the way the shark wasn't really working right. But in actuality, it was pretty horrifying the way the shark came out. And it's probably more because you're watching it come up out of the water and eat a kid. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. You put a kid in any situation like that.
It's different than what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah,
you know,
silly guy in the
that
dinghy.
silly guy in the dinghy. He's you're like, I got no connection.
But that's when he, I mean, that's another point where not only his kids were involved. I mean, I guarantee he felt responsible or something.
Well, he wanted to close the beaches.
Yeah.
And they talked him into leaving them open by this phony, I'm going to amend my my cause of death to a boating accident. And you're going to stand by that? Yeah, I'll stand by it. But he wanted the beaches closed, and he knew, and
there
was a problem.
And when the mother came and told him that and slapped him, I mean, he wanted the justice and not have to do the system.
Right.
So enter.
But great. I mean, good. Just great character. His.
Oh yeah.
Honorable.
Right, and I mean, even if it shows that scene where he's having wine at the table or drinking at the table, and his one son's there, and they're doing faces at each other, and they're mimicking. I mean, it showed like even like his home life, his human side,
right.
You know what I mean? So all that added to the film. I mean, not just was it about this shark, it was about these people, these three main characters, and him mostly. It was his life, kind of like on this island and what he had to deal with. So then into his life comes Hooper, not Hopper.
Hooper.
I said it. Hooper.
Hooper.
Who turns out is don't know right off the bat, but turns out he's very rich, and
just him or the whole family?
I can't remember. Was it him or was his
the
daddy
whole
rich?
It's
The whole family.
At one point, Brody asks him, how rich are you? He's like, just me or the whole family?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's because they're on that one boat.
I've seen that movie way too many. Jaws is one of those movies that I don't know if you have a movie like this, but Jaws is definitely one of them, and I have a few that like at any given point, if I'm like I'm just laying around or particularly if I'm tired and I know I'm going to be falling asleep, or maybe I'm laying on the chair or I'm laying on the couch, I will put Jaws on just because I've seen it so many times.
Something in the background
that it's just like background noise
and familiar,
and I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
So it's just like I've probably seen it.
It doesn't matter what part you wake up in.
Hundreds of times because of that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what part you wake up in.
Right. Yep.
So,
and if it comes on like actual regular TV, it's one of those movies that I'll watch. If there's commercials, I'll even watch it, even though I can just pull it up and watch it digitally without commercials.
Yeah, that's
I'll just sit there and watch it. I'll be like, oh my God, Jaws, let's watch it. I've seen it 8,000 times. Let's watch it.
So Hooper comes into this, and he's a rich kid, and he's got all the gadgets, and he's helping Brody figure out what kind of shark this is, and then the two of them want to go hunt this thing.
Yes. Well, first they send out a group of, or the Alex Kittner's mother puts a bounty on the shark, so everybody in the whole town is going out, and then the one group of them pull out catch the one shark, and they're like, oh, what kind of shark is this? And he's like, tiger shark.
Did you know what about that? That was an actual, in that film, that was an actual tiger shark.
Was it?
And this was odd when I found this out. They had it caught obviously killed, put in a special crate, and shipped to Amity for that scene.
That had to stink.
Yeah, those actors said, those two guys who caught it, those two actors,
Yeah.
They said that it stunk to holy hell. It was just nasty. But I thought it's funny if something like that happened nowadays. They actually went out, killed a shark.
Oh, they'd be all over him.
PETA would be all over.
PETA would.
And hung that thing up for the shot, because it did look real, and it was.
PETA is spelled PETA.
PETA.
Yeah, but I think sometimes they're more like the PITA version.
Okay.
Pain in the
ass.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh.
So anyways, Hooper and after, after they fail to catch the correct shark.
Well, they caught the tiger shark,
but they didn't,
Hooper clearly said it's a Carcharian carcharias. It's a great white.
Because
just like that,
he was very knowledgeable in sharks. So they go to Quint.
Quint, right? Very good.
The one who
Quint,
or as I call him, Quinn,
the mighty Quint,
Buffalo, the mighty
it's
Eskimo.
The mighty Quint.
See, I even screwed that up.
Yes,
Buffalo. I said mighty Buffalo, not
right.
The mighty Eskimo. They go to him because he is a shark hunter on the island.
Yes,
and
y'all know him.
Oh yeah,
you know how he does his business.
Oh yeah, and
he makes his living.
And he's
God, I've seen that movie way too many times.
He's a no nonsense, gravelly old fisherman that don't take anything from no one. So, and they strike up the deal, and the three of these characters set out on his boat, which was called. Wait, you know what? Wasn't that a trivia question Lucas had? And you had too on one of the trivia challenge. The name of the boat, Quint's boat.
Yes.
I know you know it, but Lucas got it wrong.
He's looking it up right now.
Hey, you said that's my job. It's my job.
What is it, Lucas?
The orca.
Very good.
Very good.
Which later became a movie about a killer whale, but that's for another show. So the three of them go out, and so what I like about Quint, once they're out there in the water, you get to know more about Quint, because at first, he just comes off as this no-nonsense, gravelly old fisherman that, hunts sharks, But when you get out there on the water, and they're out there hunting the shark, you get to find out a little bit about him. You find out about that he was a survivor from the Indianapolis, which was I believe, battleship that delivered the atomic bomb, that the first bomb that we dropped on Japan in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And on their return voyage home after delivering the bomb,
the Hiroshima bomb.
The Hiroshima bomb.
Bomb. That would be the Fat Man.
Fat Man.
Yeah.
Little Boy was the other one?
Was Nagasaki, yes.
Yeah. So they successfully completed their mission, and then we're heading home, and the Indianapolis was sunk by a Japanese submarine. Now, forgive me if I don't get these numbers correctly, but, there's like about 1,000 sailors on that ship. 300 of them died. Now, Quint tells his story in the movie, but there's like 300 of them died with the initial attack, and they weren't rescued for 2 days. So the remaining survivors, I thought it was about 2 days.
I think it was like 6.
Was it 6 days?
Yeah, I think it was quite a few days.
Oh,
I don't think it was 2.
Maybe it was 6.
I mean,
maybe it was 6.
And I'm not trying to correct you. But the thought of 2 days is bad enough.
I think you're actually right.
But the thought of like 6 days or whatever it was, the first day was like 1 day.
So 6 days bobbing in the water.
The second day was like 2 days.
So in that 6-day period, 400 more men were eaten, killed by sharks. And Quint survived that. And right there puts a whole new look on Quint.
Right.
You see that he's not just this fisherman that hunts sharks. This is a vendetta. This is something way deeper, you know.
Right.
And you know.
All right, this is a super silly little thing because he's like explaining this whole story to them, and they're going back and forth with their scars and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's a great scene.
And Quint is like, this was a barracuda, whatever, and the guy's like, oh, this was a thrasher shark, and Hopper and Hooper. I just said Hopper. Did I just say Hopper?
You did.
My God.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going back and forth, and then Brody like looks down at like this tiny little scar that he's got, and he doesn't even mention it. But then they're talking about different things, and Quint like pulls a tooth out of his thing. But it was literally like, and I don't know, I don't have any fake teeth.
Yeah.
I just haven't needed any yet.
Yeah.
But I don't have any. So the way he reached in his mouth and pulled out this single tooth, I'm like, doesn't that thing just like fall out and you like swallow it or something? Because it was like he was like reached in, grabbed one tooth out of his.
Maybe it had a magnet on it.
Very weird. It was very weird. I don't know. A magnet.
We should research that. Actually,
I would like to, because, and I know it's a silly thing for me to bring up right now in this podcast talking about, but
yeah,
it's always bugged me because it's like a little.
It bugs you, man.
It's like a little one. I mean, I could see if it was like a whole like, when you had like a retainer, those type of like a
bridge or
whatever. I don't think it's that.
Yeah.
But you put the whole thing and you click it in.
Yeah.
This is like it was one tooth. He pulled it out. I'm like, what?
Maybe.
Wouldn't that thing just
get
like mixed up in your food when you're like chewing?
No, maybe he just ripped it out right then and there. I don't know. But anyways, that showed. It really showed depth to his character. Then it really broadened his and you fully understood why he was hell bent on catching this shark. He destroyed the radio when they were trying to call for help when the ship was when his boat was starting to sink, and he pushed that boat. It's just he was on a mission.
Yeah.
And Brody and Hooper were along for the ride. And it didn't work for him.
No, it didn't.
Because there's a spoiler. The shark gets him.
Why'd you tell everybody?
I know.
Yeah, no, you did see a different side of him, and they did too.
Right.
Those two other characters saw this side.
That's what's great about this movie is that it isn't just about the shark. The storytelling of these three characters, there's so much you get invested into them.
Because at this time, and we talked about this on the last podcast.
I agree.
At this time in our history, when this movie was made in the 70s, they did a lot more with that type of storytelling. It didn't matter if it was an action movie or a horror movie or sci-fi movie or whatever. They did a lot of storytelling, and it wasn't all just action or whatever,
And I would argue that you get a little bit more invested in the characters because obviously you hear his backstory and you just feel for the guy. And even Brody, wanting to go to a peaceful life and on this island, and this all happens. I guess Hooper would be the one that maybe you feel the least invested in because he had a coolness about him. Yeah, but he did have another air about him.
Coolness, but he knew what he was talking about with a lot of this stuff. He was the college kid, the smarty pants,
So that's one thing I wanted to touch upon on all of those three characters and how, like you said, that scene when they're all talking about the scars, it has nothing to do with, they're sitting out there hunting the shark, but at that moment, you're just learning about these three guys, and it's just three guys hanging out, drinking some beers and talking, and you get involved so much in just that one scene, or at least I do. You kind of forget that the sharks out there. Which, by the way, didn't they name the shark something on set?
On the set, they named the shark Bruce, which was, I believe, the name of Spielberg's attorney. So that's why they named, because he was a shark. So, attorney.
That's very good, because I did not know that. I did know it was named Bruce, but I didn't know it was named after the attorney.
Right. That's what you notice, like in the movie Finding Nemo, the big shark in there, his name's Bruce.
Yeah.
And when Nemo runs, he was like, name's Bruce.
Yeah. That's good. Little nod to Jaws.
Nod to stuff. Yep.
All right. Well, we need to go to a commercial, and we'll come back and wrap this baby up.
Sounds good. Hey, man. You hear about all the robberies lately in the neighborhood?
Yeah, it's crazy these days. They got old Johnson down the block last week.
Old Johnson? Did he get anything on his cameras?
Nah, these crooks are good at getting around cameras. That's why I had ICAS over last night. They should be installing their equipment tomorrow.
ICAS? Is that an alarm company? I don't know that one.
Yeah, ICAS stands for Irritating Celebrity Alarm System.
Irritating celebrity? Come on.
Seriously, check out these examples they sent to my phone of their alarms, man. They have the basic alarm system called the Gilbert Godfrey.
Why are you breaking into my house? I don't understand. Don't you have stuff at your own house? Why would someone need someone else's stuff? It's just crazy. I mean, who on earth could possibly need all that stuff?
Or their gold package called the Roseanne Bar.
Hey, you, get off my property, or you'll have to deal with a real domestic goddess. The land of the free and the home of the brave.
Or my favorite, the platinum package, the Fran Drescher.
Oh, man, make it stop. Give me that number. We all should have that alarm system. All right, welcome back.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
All right, so now I have a question.
Okay.
So we've touched on a lot of things tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But what I want to know is, out of Brody, Hooper, and Quint, who is your favorite character out of those three?
Oh, that's a tough one. You know what? I gotta go with Quint. I really do. And I'm not even sure why.
I could see that.
Because he kind of like... I mean, really, if he hadn't pushed the limits of that they...
Because he's a cool old school guy.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
I mean, really, if the boat hadn't started sinking, I don't know. I know that's a big shark and everything, but it's a pretty tough boat. The shark would have had a hard time taking down that boat if it wasn't already sinking, you know?
Oh, Bruce would have done it.
Oh, well,
yeah, he would have. He would have done it.
But, you know.
So, I get where you're saying Quint is, and I understand that he's a very interesting character, especially when you learn his backstory. But for me, it would be Brody, because I just like seeing the whole thing of him being the big city cop that wants to leave that lifestyle and move his family to a peaceful, quiet place, and the chaos of the big city, you know, follows him in the form of this shark, you know, and he has to go out on and face his fear of the water, you know, and that last scene where he is sitting there on that mast with that rifle. I mean, not only, even if there wasn't a shark in the water, his fear is the water, and he's out in the middle of the ocean, on a boat that's sinking, and he's got nothing left. You know, that whole dynamic of him to me is just makes him I think the best character on that.
Yeah, what do you think at that moment when you're afraid of the water,
Right.
and you're out in the middle of the ocean,
Right.
by yourself for what you know, because at that point Hooper was still down, which I'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
Actually, because I got another comment to make about that. Hooper was still down. He didn't know Hooper was alive.
Yeah, because he
They
got
pulled
his
up-
scuba gear on and
They pulled up the shark tank,
the cage.
the shark cage,
Yeah.
and it was all demolished. So they figured Hooper was dead, and then Quint dies. So he's out there in his head.
Yeah, so at this point, he's last survivor.
He's the last one, and he doesn't like the water. It's like, but yet he wants to kill the shark instead of just being like, all right, just eat me because I don't know. I ain't getting back to land anyway.
That's a hero. That's a hero right there.
Right.
I mean, he was going until he couldn't go anymore. He kept at it. He kept moving forward. So yeah, I agree. Now I disagree. I mean, we kind of disagree with who's the best character. Although I could see your point of view, I still think Brody's a better character. So I think I have a way to resolve this.
Okay. How do we do that?
I think we need to call Agreeable Ricky.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Lucas, could you pull up Agreeable Ricky's number and give him a call?
For sure.
All right, thank you.
Hello?
Hey, Agreeable Ricky, it's Dennis and Chris. You doing good?
Yep.
That's good to hear.
So listen, we're doing our show tonight, and we're talking about the movie Jaws, and we are discussing who our favorite character in the movie is, and I chose Brody, because I like his big city cop moves to small town to have a peaceful life, and then is involved in this whole horrible shark incident. So, I mean, that's why I chose him, basically. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that? I mean, don't you think that's a good choice?
I'll agree.
Yeah, but don't you think that the character of Quint, with his incredible backstory of being on the USS Indianapolis and what he went through with the sharks there, and then how it all tied into here, and they all kind of learned this backstory. Isn't he the best character? Wouldn't you say he's the best character?
I'll agree.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you.
Glad I can help out, guys. Call me anytime.
All right. Well, I guess that didn't really help too much.
No, but he's a sweet guy, so.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. All right. So, although we disagreed on our favorite character, I think we can agree that Jaws is a classic and groundbreaking film.
Yeah, I would definitely agree on that. That's it's one of my favorites all time.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for listening tonight, and as always, sending out lots of love.
Yeah, and before we go, I do want to remind everyone to number one, follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram. We are at Biscuits and Gravy Pod, all one word, no underscores. Our Twitter is at BANDG_pod. And our Facebook is at Bago Podcast. That's BAGO Podcast. Also, send us an email at bagopod@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you subscribe to our podcast
and rate and review us.
Yes.
Oh, real quick, there's a new element.
Oh, we did add YouTube.
It's
It's
search
just
up the Biscuits
and Gravy
Odd-yssey.
Odd-yssey. Yep.
Spelled ODD-YSSEY.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Again, thank you very much, and stay gold.
Bye-bye.
snakes.
Irritating celebrity.
Indubitably.
Indubitably. Okay. Hey, Gurbo Ricky.